Welcome to the vivo X80 Pro Camera Tour. We've got a lot to talk about. Hello, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, aka SomeGadgetGuy, and I'm a huge nerd for smartphone cameras. I've shot videos, produced tutorials, and I wrote a book on how to get more out of the cameras on the backs of our phones. I'm really excited to be working with Vivo to detail all the features, changes, and improvements on the X80 Pro. What you're watching right now is part one of a three-part series. We're gonna start broad, just going to walk through all the settings, modes, and options on the X80 Pro, help you get familiar with what's in the Vivo camera app, and kind of get a lay of the land. In part two of this series, we're gonna take a closer look at the improvements and new features unique to the X80 Pro. And in part three of this series, we're going to put the X80 Pro up against some professional grade competition to show you what this phone can really do. We had a lot of fun putting these videos together, and I think you're gonna like what you see. So without any further ado, let's get to know the X80 Pro. Jumping right in on the hardware, immediately you'll notice a collection of cameras on the rear of the phone. They're kind of hard to miss. Vivo is using a new housing that runs the width of the back, and it prevents that table wobble when you put the phone down. No more of that waka waka waka. This is a great collection of lenses that cover a number of views and focal lengths. We get a bold ultra wide, a standard wide, then portraiture, and super telephoto. 4 distinct sensors and lenses with specific strengths for content creation. On the front of the phone, you'll find a 32 megapixel selfie camera, which puts out solid 8 megapixel HDR images. Now, we're starting with great hardware, but controlling that hardware is where someone really learns to trust their pocket camera as much as they might a standalone camera. The X80 Pro is built to be easy to use right out of the box, but also allow a user to go as deep as they might want to go. The Vivo camera app is feature-packed, and that might be a bit intimidating for some folks out there coming from simpler point-and-shoot phones, but it's really easy to navigate once you know what you're looking for. The right-hand side is where you're gonna find the shutter button and the shortcut to your gallery, so you can review images after you've taken them. And if you're a full auto kind of shooter, you might be able to stop there. This could be all you need to interact with, and you'll still get fun, vibrant images. But if you're watching a channel like mine, I think we can dig just a little deeper than that. To the left of the shutter, there's a mode slider, and this is how we switch functions and where we'll find a full list of the different options available. Certainly worth familiarizing yourself with this list. You might be trying to capture a specific kind of shot and not know that the phone has a mode to help you land that shot. Of course, the center is where you'll find the main viewfinder, so you can see the image you're trying to capture. And depending on the mode, there might be additional controls available to the user. In photo mode, there's just a zoom and filters. In pro mode, you'll get everything else. Again, you can keep it simple, or you can dial in every specific setting you might want. Then on the far left edge of the screen, there are additional settings per mode. Quick toggles for HDR, Zeiss color processing, macro close focus, your flash settings, stabilization, and even more advanced focus peaking and log video. And from there, we get additional settings in a menu for less frequently adjusted app options. Still worth checking out though. This is where you can toggle guides, levels, histograms, and alternate shutter actions. Say cheese. One of the reasons why I'm so happy to be partnering with Vivo, I genuinely believe that few other phones on the market will reward the user as well for really taking the time to learn about all of these modes. From the fastest point-and-shoot situations to staging a nice family portrait, to really trying to capture an artistic vision. It's kind of cliche to say, but there really is something here for everyone. And I always think it's fun when there's room to grow as an artist beyond just push button get selfie. Starting with that photo mode, there's a lot we can do here. Again, you can easily cycle through the different sensors and lenses, We can apply filters for different looks and color tones. Then down in the bottom corner, we can toggle the AI assistant. And you'll notice right away how fast this little bubble is at identifying your subject and priming the camera for that kind of processing. One specific example, automatically toggling HD document. If the phone detects that there's text written on paper, we're shooting full auto and the AI is guiding us. We can also decide on different color processing and HDR settings. We can move in closer with the auto macro mode and the phone will automatically select the correct sensor for that close-up focus. The main video mode is similarly laid out. There are style and beauty filter options available. AI will help select exposure and processing modes for the subject you're shooting, and you have direct access to resolution, frame rate, and stabilization options. So many good design considerations. I really appreciate how much you can control without losing access to your viewfinder. You can always be framing a shot, but then make a fast switch on your video options without totally losing your composition. Now, compared against those auto modes, the Pro mode is as professional as it gets. Full access and control over shutter speed, ISO, white balance, manual focus, and metering. In Pro Photo, you can shoot RAW or Super RAW to capture incredible amounts of information for editing. In Pro Video, we gain additional filters, audio levels, and gain control, or we can shoot log, a flat style of video which is excellent for editing and color grading. From a hardware perspective, we can already capture a great natural depth of field from two of these camera sensors, but the portrait mode adds a software blurring effect to further separate your subject from the background. Now, not only can you choose how much blur you want, but using AI, we can also change the style of the blur based on classic Zeiss camera lenses. The high resolution mode does exactly what its name implies, using every subpixel on the main sensor to capture finer details in your shot, especially useful for folks who like to print larger format. And night mode on the X80 Pro is one of the strongest computational low light modes available on any phone, boasting not only incredibly fast capture times, but also the brightest and cleanest output from a phone camera. There's so much capability here. A panorama mode for ultra-wide, bold landscapes. Live photo captures a short burst of video before and after hitting the shutter. Video modes for both slow motion and for speedy time-lapse photography. AR stickers for fun selfie video effects. Supermoon uses AI to enhance the night sky and improve your lunar photography, while Astro mode is a long exposure to use when you pop your phone onto a tripod for an ultra clean look at the stars. Pro Sports mode primes the phone for the fastest shutter possible and uses AI processing to reduce both photographer and subject motion blur. Dual view runs both front and rear cameras at the same time, while double exposure allows you to use another photo as an overlay for an artistic filter you create in real time. Long exposure has different presets for situations like blurring traffic, light painting, or capturing fireworks. And the improved stabilization and processing means many of these effects can be captured while holding the phone, and you don't always have to mount it on a tripod for a longer exposure. And lastly, AI Group Portrait removes some of the pain points for capturing a group shot, like exposing for different skin tones, making sure everyone is looking good, even when it's kind of hard to line a group of people up. And yeah, that's a lot. I mean, if you're interested in photography, cinema, vlogging, or any kind of media creation, you're probably already getting an idea of why I find this system to be so impressive. Just listing out the modes and options, you can already start getting some ideas on using your phone to make things, from fun family videos to more professional projects. In part 2 of this series, we're going to dig deeper into some of the improvements to this camera system. Definitely going to show more samples from each of the sensors. We're going to look at the gimbal stabilizer on the portrait sensor and the incredibly fast low light capture thanks to that V1 Plus co-processor. So stay tuned. We're just getting started. And again, a huge thank you to Vivo for collaborating and sponsoring this series. It's been really fun digging into what the X80 Pro can do. And a second quick thank you, this video was not created in a vacuum, so I have to throw another huge thank you, thumbs up of glory to the amazing Clark Wolf, and of course, my brother from another mother, TK Bay. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. All of the support lately has been tremendous. Those of you who are, you're checking out the links in the description underneath my videos. Maybe you hit my home site, SomeGadgetGuy.com, or you've joined the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is the coolest collection of tech pals in the universe, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, not so much on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on part 2.